When we externalize our darkness, when we externalize our shadow and we do not accept it as a part of us and we do not allow it to integrate, we will continue to see darkness as an external force in our lives. And when someone is looking for a savior outside of them, when someone is looking for the being of light outside of them to save them, it's because they have not integrated their shadow. So when your shadow is outside of you, it's going to show up as darkness. And when you are seeking the light outside of you, it's because you have not accepted that you are your own savior. You are God in a body. Happy September. It's me, Amar. I am a bridge builder. Really, what I do is I help you build a bridge from where you are, from where you want to be, from the life you have to the life you want, from your human self to your metaphysical self, and allow you to find the place where you can connect to all of it from the center of your being. And essentially, that's what I do. This is your September energy forecast. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to entitle this one yet. The phrase that's been kind of rolling around in my head and that I probably will land on is something to do with like shedding a skin or moving out of the cocoon, like exiting the cocoon or exiting the cave, something like that, because we're absolutely continuing this transformational journey. It's still this process of becoming. And August, the message that I was sharing over and over and over in my videos, my content here, also in my one-on-one sessions, was all about the spiritual puberty and this process of shifting, this process of changing, this process of evolving and growing up. Before we dive in too deeply, first of all, I want to say hello and a shout out to all of my members, the explorers, the creators. So happy to see you. Can't wait to share and connect with you this month in September. Just a reminder, we have 2 events coming up. If you are a creator, you get the energy tune-up and the What the WTF session. If you are an explorer, then you get the What the WTF session, and all of you, no matter what level that you are at, get first access to all my video content this month. If you're interested in signing up as a channel member, I'll put the link below in the description. So happy that you're all here, members. Mwah. So much love to you, so much gratitude for you, and I can't wait to share what September has on tap. Also this month, I have an event coming up. It begins on the equinox and auspicious day, Sunday, the 22nd of September. It's a 3-part series, so we're meeting 3 Sundays in a row, starting on the 22nd. It's entitled Rewriting Soul Contracts. This is a game changer. We are in a time right now where we can actually change the arc of the life that we came here to live, and we can do so consciously and willingly with our higher aspects, with our guides, our helpers, our angels, with spirit. We are in a moment right now where we can really decide, this is where I want to go next. This is the quality of the experience that I want now. This is the type of life that I want to experience. Tickets are on sale right now, early bird special, and then they're going to go up to the regular full price. Again, I'll put the description below, or you can go right to my website, amar.energy, and click on the events tab. Rewriting Soul Contracts is going to be amazing. A 3-part series again, where we're basically honoring the past, letting go of that, spending some time in the void, doing some void work and shedding the skin of the old, and then stepping into the new thing and actually rewriting the contract for the rest of your experience, or until you decide to rewrite it again. A lot of what I'm seeing for September is there's this before and after energy. It's a shedding of the skin. It literally is like the caterpillar going to sleep one day, so to speak, spending a night in the cocoon and then waking up the next day and going, wow, something's changed. I'm different. So I think just like the caterpillar and the butterfly, the butterfly may have a memory of what the caterpillar life was like. The butterfly may have an inkling of something, but I think it also in many ways, this is how I always imagine it, that the butterfly wakes up one day and was like, wow, what a weird dream. I dreamed that I was this little wiggly worm-like thing that had no wings and was just crawling along on the plants, munching and crunching my way through the leaves and the flowers, but I didn't have any wings. It was a different kind of life. It was a very interesting dream. So in many ways, there's a very dreamlike quality to the energy of September, and it's a very much a before and after. So you may have a sense of like, oh yeah, I used to do that, or oh yeah, I used to kind of be that person, or oh yeah, those things used to be important to me. You may be able to reflect back to old patterns and habits and interests and areas of focus, but I don't necessarily think that it's going to be as important to you this month. I think this is the month that we really begin to see, like, I am not the same person I was last month. Hell, I'm not even even the same person I was this morning. So we have some really intense and incredible astrology coming up over the next few months and also over the next few years. I am not an astrologer. I'm more of a tourist when it comes to astrology. I know what I find interesting, I know what I like, and I pay attention to certain themes and things that I see cropping up continually and consistently. If you're interested in astrology, Jane International and Steve Judd, Pam Gregory, those are three of my favorite astrologers. You can find them on a quick YouTube search. But Steve Judd was recently talking about the astrology that's at play for the next 2 to 3 years has never been recorded in all of human history, at least not this chapter of human history. So we are getting ready to move into some really amazing waters that are totally uncharted. And the majority of these planets are masculine energy planets. And it's all about that resurrected, reunited, refined, reconnected masculine self. We talked about that in the Reclaiming Your Masculine Energy event that I did a couple of months ago. And that theme is going to continue to play out over the next few months and the next few years. But it's different now. It's more of a clarity. It's not so much a questioning. It's not so much an integrating. Now it's more of a like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do. Oh, I'm getting really, really clear on the destination. Now I can see it on the horizon. Now I'm no longer kind of flying blind. I actually feel like I have now a point that I'm moving towards. So that astrology really kicks off this year. We have this Pluto in Capricorn return, which is starting on like the 2nd of September. So by the time you're watching this, it will already be back in Capricorn. Pluto takes like 240 something years to return to a sign. So we're not going to see Pluto in Capricorn again for 200 and something years. It's only back in Capricorn for a couple of months. I'm going to talk more about that in a bit. And then it shifts into Aquarius at the end of the year, and it will, or the end of the year, beginning of next year, and it will stay in Aquarius for the next 20 something years. And this is absolutely that before and after energy that I'm talking about. It is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Thank you, Fifth Dimension, for that beautiful song. It really is the beginning of a new era. It's the beginning of a new life. It's the beginning of a new chapter. We also have the new moon in Virgo, which is happening probably on the day or around the day that you're watching this video. It's the first, I think it's the 1st or 2nd of September. That is a really powerful one. A new moon in Virgo while we're in Virgo season is absolutely a new beginning. It is a new chapter. It is a new threshold that we are standing on the other side of now. And it is a beautiful time to work with this Pluto and Capricorn energy. It's also eclipse season is kicking off in the month of September. Then we also have the equinox that also is the first day of the Rewriting Your Soul Contract course. And so it's a whole lot of stuff. It is a whole lot of stuff. The image that I'm really seeing over and over and continuing with last month's theme of puberty, it's kind of like the summer after graduating high school before you're moving on to the next phase. I remember I graduated in 1990, which in my mind was still like 10 years ago. I can't believe when I say 1990, some people were like, oh, I wasn't even born yet. Oh my God, mind blowing. But I remember that summer really clearly. I had decided to go to Seattle, but I still had this summer where I was working at a 7-Eleven and I was saving money. So I had money in the bank. I still didn't know what my life was going to be like in Seattle. I still had no real clear idea of where I was going to be living. I had a general picture, but I didn't know anybody. I had an acquaintance that I had met through a friend, but I had never met this person. His name was Nick. I had never met him. I'd never spent time with him. I talked to him on the phone, but that was it. So I didn't know anything about him other than the couple of telephone conversations on a landline that I had had with him and what my friend had told me about him. So this is where we are. September is a month where you're still going to be wrapping up some old stuff. It's still a sense of being connected to a little bit of the old ways, but it's a new chapter. And it's a new life and it's a new beginning. And a lot of things that may be happening for many of you are letting go of old relationships, letting go of old jobs, letting go of old comfort zones, old areas of interest. You may be changing professions, you may be changing jobs altogether. And a lot of you, I get the sense, already know what you're doing. It's like you already know that you're moving, or, you know, to use the analogy of the summer between high school and when you start your new chapter, but it's still a very unclear, like you haven't done it yet, you haven't lived it yet. So there's still a lot of the unknown. Another continuing theme for September that we saw in August is allow the unknown. I would say that probably through the end of the calendar year, and probably for the next couple of years, at least the next 18 months, get really comfortable with the new unknown. Get really comfortable with the fact that you haven't done this before, that you don't have any experience doing this before. Again, it's like when you graduate high school, you go to college, you go to a job, you move to a new town, or you take a gap year and decide to travel. You're doing things you've never done before. And that's the whole point of it. That is the whole point of that young adulthood exploration of figuring out, who are you now? What is interesting to you? What is important to you? What do you want to spend your time doing and spend your days doing? And what kind of life do you envision for yourself? So we're still in that in between. We're still in that I'm an adult. I'm not a kid anymore, but I'm an adult that doesn't really have a lot of an experience being adult. I hope that makes sense. So again, it's like the butterfly emerging, going, oh, I'm a totally new being now. Wow, I have wings. Wow, look at all the cool things I can do now. But all of it is new because I've never flown before. All of it is new because I've never done this before. Now I'm not eating leaves. Now I'm sucking nectar out of flowers. So kind of the same, but not really. I think it's really important to continue to allow yourself to be in the unknown. So I want to talk a little bit more about Pluto and Capricorn. And again, Pluto is going to be in Capricorn for this next like 2 months and some change. And Pluto and Capricorn is a beautiful opportunity to get really, really clear on what within you is still unresolved. I posted this on Instagram. I posted it actually here on YouTube on my community page. You can look for it's a yellow meme square that has the glyph of Pluto, and it's talking about some things. It's also on my Instagram, which is Amar Energy. You can also find it on my TikTok, which is Amar.energy. Pluto, among other things, is the ruler of the underworld, the ruler of the unseen, the ruler of the hidden. Pluto also deals with a lot of topics such as death and rebirth and transformation and rebirth. Pluto is the taskmaster that is really inviting us, kind of requiring us to get really, really clear on where we have still externalized our shadow. Where have you still not accepted your shadow self, your own personal darkness? And here's the thing. When we externalize our darkness, when we externalize our shadow and we do not accept it as a part of us and we do not allow it to integrate, we will continue to see darkness as an external force in our lives. And when someone is looking for a savior outside of them, when someone is looking for the being of light outside of them to save them, it's because they have not integrated their shadow. So when your shadow is outside of you, it's going to show up as darkness. And when you are seeking the light outside of you, it's because you have not accepted that you are your own savior. You are God in a body. You are the creative force moving through a physical vessel. So until you integrate your shadow self and also at the same time accept that you are your own creator and your own savior, you are going to continue to perpetuate the cycle of death and rebirth, of good and evil, of light and dark, of right and wrong, because here's the truth. You have been the sinner and the saint. You have been life and you have been death. You have been good and you have been bad. You are light and dark. And it is only when you accept the duality of your human experience that you integrate both of it, stand in the center. And that's when you transcend both of them, because you understand that you are all of it. It's the yin yang symbol. The light has a little bit of dark in it. The dark has a little bit of light in it. And it's all part of the same shape. It's all part of the same structure and the same cycle. So only when you fully accept the totality of who and what you are, can you transcend that experience and begin to move into higher frequencies and higher experiences. There's another thing that Pluto is here to teach us, and this is very much that Capricorn energy, because Capricorn energy is grounded, it's realistic, it's practical, it's that checklist, get her done kind of energy. Did you clean everything? Did you repaint the walls? Did you, wash the sheets and vacuum the floor so you can get your deposit back? So Pluto in Capricorn is here to make sure that you're getting everything ready, because Pluto in Aquarius is the future. Pluto in Aquarius is the absolutely new beginning and the new cycle. And again, Pluto is not coming back to Capricorn for another 250 years almost. So this is a final opportunity to really get clear and get right and get honest with yourself about who you are, about what you have created, about what you still have to accept responsibility for. And here's the biggest lesson. Pluto and Capricorn is here to teach us that spirituality is not special. A spiritual awakening is not an exclusive, unique thing for only a select few. A spiritual awakening doesn't mean you're going to levitate and walk through walls and grow wings and become an angel. A spiritual awakening is a part of the human experience. It's just like puberty. At some point, every being is going to go through this process of reawakening to the truth of who they are. So it's important to stop separating yourself of those people over there and these people over here, and I'm awake and I'm special and you're asleep and so you're not. Your natural state is neutrality. Your state of being in the center is unconditional love, and unconditional love by definition is neutral. Unconditional love says, I love you, period. I am love, period. There is no requirement. There is no condition. There is no exclusion. So if you're still talking about, oh, us special spiritual people over here, and oh, those poor normies who aren't awakened yet, girl, you're not in your center. You are not in a place of integration. You are still in a place of judgment. So you can't deny the fact that we're all a part of this experience. And once you accept the totality of it all, that is when your energy naturally begins to rise as your willingness to stay in the center of neutrality and acceptance and really letting it all occur as an expression of creation, which is unconditional. Look, I get it. It's been really, really hard. It has been really, really hard the past few months. It is not easy being a human on the planet in 2024. I absolutely understand that so many of us are dealing with difficulties and challenges and hardships. But also, here's the thing to remember. You came here for this experience because of your master level creator abilities. You came here for an experience that would challenge you on the level that you are ready to be challenged. It's like going to the Olympics. When you make it to the Olympics to be the fastest swimmer on the planet, you don't complain because it's hard. You're not surprised that there's a whole bunch of other really strong, powerful swimmers there. You're not surprised that, oh, I have to swim really hard and swim really fast and work really hard to get to the level that I want to achieve. You know that that's a part of the experience. It's the same thing. Everything that we are creating now is brand new. There is no rule book. There is no guidebook. There is no handbook. The only sense that you are going to have, especially as we continue to proceed, is your sense of what's real in here, your sense of what's connected to your center in here. And yes, things are going to continue to evolve and to open up. And I think next year around the springtime, around March, things are going to start to feel a little bit less intense. But until then, you just got to own the fact that you came here for this experience, that the challenges that you are experiencing are challenging for a reason. It's to wake you up and to remind you of how powerful you really are. So yes, allow yourself the emotional experience. Allow yourself to acknowledge how hard and how challenging it is, but also understand that this is why you came. You came to be a part of the Great Awakening. You came to be a part of something that has never occurred in the history of humanity. We have never ascended while in a physical form before. That is unprecedented. That is unheard of. So this is all brand new. So it's okay that it doesn't make sense. It's okay that you don't understand it. I would be more concerned if it did make sense. I would be more concerned if it was familiar, because then it's not necessarily going to be new. So again, like I said in August and all those videos, allow it to be unfamiliar, allow it to be a little uncomfortable, but to move away from the idea of seeking, because seeking says I lost it. Now it's about exploring. Exploring is, ooh, I can't wait to see what my new wings are capable of. So I want to talk a little bit more about the new moon in Virgo. You know, Virgo is a powerful, powerful sign. It is a sign of one of the healers of the zodiac. And Virgo is all about the purification of self through the feminine energy. It's interesting when we talk about the idea of a virgin, the virgin and Virgo doesn't have anything to do with sexual chastity. It doesn't mean that I've never had sex before. Virgin was a woman who was complete unto herself. She was her own ecosystem. She was her own authority. She was her own source of stability and safety and security. She didn't need a man for status or to define her or to provide for her. She was complete unto herself. She was self-directed and self-contained. So she didn't need anybody else to define who she was, because she knew who she was. She was complete unto herself. So the feminine in Virgo isn't necessarily emotional. That's what I think is really important to know about this new moon, is it's more precise. The feminine energy of Virgo is more about, she knows what it's time time to purify, and she's ready to do it. She just says, okay, it's time. She allows herself to be a little emotional if she needs to be. It's certainly not about denying the emotional self. It's just knowing that when I'm in my emotional state, that's a very different state of being than my active, assertive doing state. So the feminine energy in Virgo is kind of like the masculine version of the feminine psyche and the feminine power. So this month is about let yourself be inspired, let yourself have the dream, but know that it's time to do it. So hold the vision, hold the dream, and then begin to take action and allow yourself to flow through the experience of creating it in real time. But remembering that the feminine energy of Virgo is more precise and decisive and not so much watery and emotional. This month, it's really about allowing the transition. Allow the transition of who you have become to inform you. Allow yourself to be surprised and delighted about what you have become. I saw this quote the other day, and I can't remember who it was. God, it's going to drive me crazy trying to remember, but it was talking about the impermanence of things and how impermanence is actually what allows life to exist. And I understand that when we are in these transitional bridge moments, when we're moving from one way of being to the old to a new way of being, the tendency to try to hang on to the old familiar stuff can be really, really strong. But it's important to understand that impermanence is what allows life to exist. Think of it this way. If pregnancy was not an impermanent state, then life would never be born. You would not be here. If your mom had just tried to, if she was saying, oh, I love being pregnant, I want to be pregnant forever, although I don't know any pregnant women who have ever said that necessarily, the fact that pregnancy is a temporary, impermanent state is what allows you to be born. The fact that the seed is an impermanent form and then it becomes the sprout when it germinates, and the young plant is an impermanent form that gives way to the mature plant, that gives way to the flower, that gives way to the fruit, and that gives way to more seed. That is the cycle of life. That is the nature of life, to be impermanent. So don't fight what wants to change. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it evolve, and you gotta let it blossom so that you can experience all of the beauty of all of the stages of your life and allow yourself to really claim who you have become. You know, there's something that I want to talk about, and it's this idea of what focusing on where you want to be, not about the challenge that's in front of you. Yes, acknowledge the challenge, right? Okay, I have this hurdle to jump. Okay, I have this mountain to climb. But once you've acknowledged the challenge, you don't focus on the challenge, right? When skiers, professional skiers are training, their coaches don't tell them, watch out for the trees, because if the coach says, watch out for the tree, now all the mind is focused on is the tree, and it's going to smack into the tree. The coach says, focus on the clear path ahead. Focus on the path that is clear. Focus on the path that is open. Focus on the path that leads you to the finish line. That is the key. When you're building a bridge across a canyon, you don't focus on the chasm. Otherwise, you're going to build a bridge down into the chasm. You acknowledge the chasm. You measure it. Okay, I need 50 feet worth of bridge to get across the gap. And then you begin to build the bridge, focusing on the other side, the destination where you're going. So this month, if you find yourself getting focused on the problem, focused on the pitfall, focused on the tree in front of you that you're about to hit, reorient yourself, reframe it, and remind yourself, okay, focus on the clear path ahead. Focus on opportunity. Focus on possibility. Focus on freedom, not on difficulty, not on challenges, and not on the hurdle. Because if you're focused on the challenge, all you're going to do is continue to perpetuate the challenge, and then you're going to smack into it head first. Focus on the clear path ahead. When you're building a bridge, you focus on the other side, because energy flows where attention goes. So as we're wrapping up, I want to just share with you, a little bit of my personal experience. I've moved back to the town I grew up in to help my dad, to take care of him because he's not doing so great. And it's been a really, really weird experience. Part of me was still really in the old mindset of when I left, like almost 35 years ago. I've been back a few times, but I haven't really come back for more than a couple of holiday visits. And I certainly haven't spent any time here living here like I am now. And there's been this really, really interesting experience of the old version of me that grew up here, that had the challenges here, that had the difficulties here, and then the new version of me who is not necessarily still invested in those old beliefs and those old experiences, but still is very aware of them. And there's like these memories and these echoes. And the first month that I was here, it was such a surreal, bizarre thing to realize this is not the town that I grew up in. This is not the version of me that was present and active when I lived here as a child and as a teenager. And so it's been this really, really interesting thing willing to allow myself to be shown who am I now? Allow myself to be shown what is this town like now? Allow myself to see it through a new set of eyes and not drag the past in with me and continue to reactivate it and try to look at my life through that old perspective. So in many ways, that's what September is the old you, the old signposts, the old guideposts, the old familiar friends and faces and all of that. They still may be present, but that doesn't mean that you have to show up in the way that you used to. You can be a new person in a familiar landscape, and that in and of itself will begin to reshape and reform the landscape itself. So remind yourself this month that you are not the same person that you were even a month ago, hell, even an hour ago, and allow yourself to be present as you are now in this moment. And when you lose your way, when you lose track, and when it feels like it's uncertain, just ask yourself, what version of me does this choice support? If I believe this about myself, is that the new current version of who I believe myself to be, or is it an old outdated version? So give yourself a little bit of wiggle room this month to do some inner work and to tap in and connect and get clear before you choose and before you decide, because you don't have to do it in the old way anymore. And if you are doing it in the old way, it's probably not going to work. Well, the first thing I get is like there's this bursting out, there's this stepping forward. It looks like someone's stepping out of an old skin. It looks like someone's stepping out of an old version of themselves. It's like there's this holographic projection of a version of you, but then like the true self emerges. And it's like you can see that this old vision, this old projection, this old version was just an overlay. It wasn't really the true self anymore. It's outdated. It's no longer necessary. It's no longer required. It's no longer functional. It's no longer relevant. And that overlay needed to be there while the internal process was happening, right? It's sort of like a cocoon that protects the caterpillar as it's morphing into the butterfly and going through this literal alchemy from the old form and the old way to the new form and the new way. And the message comes through that the butterfly doesn't cling to the ways of the caterpillar. The butterfly understands that it is new. It has crossed a threshold. The days of the caterpillar are gone, and try as it might, it cannot return. And that's really the threshold that you are at right now. It's this sense of like, oh, I'm different now. I have changed now. I'm not the same being that I was even this morning. They're also showing me, for those of you who understand cicadas or locusts, those insects that molt and they shed their old exoskeleton. And what I'm seeing is it reminds me of my granny's growing up on my granny's farm in the summers in Kansas. The cicadas would come for the summer and they would, attach themselves to a tree and they would molt. They would break out of the old exoskeleton as they were growing and expanding and becoming the new version of themselves. And all over the trees would be these old shells. They were transparent shells of the old exoskeleton. And it was a total and perfect copy of the body. It was like from the legs and the wings and the eyes and everything, you could see all of the details that were in the old form, in the old shape, but there was nothing in it. It was empty, it was hollow, it was a shell. And that's really what you are being shown to guide you and to communicate to you that you have moved beyond. You are not in the old form anymore. You are shedding the skin, you are shedding the exoskeleton, you are shedding the previous form. And the only reason that you are shedding the previous form is because internally, internally, you have reached that point where it is time. It is just like puberty. That was the lesson for August. That was the message for August, is that you are in this internal shift. All of these chemicals and hormones and, what's happening internally with the body and its systems, they're literally secreting new chemicals, which is new information, which creates a new form. It creates a new being. It creates a growth and an evolution in the physicality. And at the right time, at the right moment, when everything is aligned, that's when it begins, and it just begins. It's not something that you can naturally jumpstart or force or make it happen. And you have gone through the puberty now, and now you're in this in-between phase of understanding that you are different. But it's kind of like the summer after you graduate high school, before you move out on your own, before you start the new job, before you go to college, before you move to the new town or move to the new apartment or whatever the thing is, before you begin this new chapter, you are done with the old chapter. You are no longer a student in school. And now you are ready or are preparing for what is next. And some of you may know exactly what is next. Some of you may know, yep, I'm going to college. I'm going to spend 4 years here. I'm going to get this degree. Some of you may say, nope, I'm going to go get a job. I'm not going to school. I'm going to start working right away. Some of you may say, well, I'm going to take a year off. I want to travel. I want to explore. I want to discover more. And all of you will end up doing something different in some way than what you think you are going to do. But suffice it to say that what you are doing next may not be clear for some of you, and that is okay. It is time to stop comparing yourself to everybody else's journey. Your journey is not theirs, and their journey is not yours. Your path is your path. And while there are similarities, while there may be consistencies, and while there may be a common thread through everybody's experience, the truth is that as you mature and grow, just like when you are leaving school, when you are growing up and you are a young adult, you are 17, 18, 19 years old, you are becoming different than you were. You don't have the same friends anymore. The friends that you used to see day to day, you're not going to necessarily see every day all the time anymore. The people that you used to spend your time with and the things you used to invest your energy and your interest in, those are changing. Those things are different, and that is okay. So allow the continuation of this moving into the new thing. This is an important distinction. It's not about leaving the old. It's about claiming the new. It's about saying yes to the new thing, moving into the new thing, and allowing the old thing just to fade in the rearview mirror. When you're driving down the road on a road trip, you don't spend the whole time looking over your shoulder or looking in the rearview mirror to see how far away things are now. You just trust that they are going to continue. Excuse me, lots of throat stuff, lots of expression stuff coming through. That you are going to continue to see your history, your past, the thing that you are leaving is going to continue to fade in the mirror behind you. So just let it. You don't have to continue to focus on the thing that is receding in your vision, in your rearview mirror behind you. It is about the new vista. It is about the new world. It is about the new reality. It is about the dawning of this new life. And all you have to do is continue to proceed in the way that feels the clearest, that feels the most expansive, that feels the most liberated and liberating. So some of you may be very clear on what you're doing, also understanding that even as you begin what feels really, really clear, it may continue to evolve and reiterate itself. Those of you who are standing there saying, okay, I know I'm out of the old thing, but I don't really know what the new thing is yet. I'm still figuring out. Allow yourself to still figure it out. You are realizing that you are going at the rhythm and the pace of your soul. You are moving and expanding and exploring according to what feels right for you. And that may not be in the same way, in the same time, and at the same rate that your friends, your partners, your neighbors, your peers, the people that you live with or engage with, they may not be growing and moving in the same direction. That's okay. It's a part of the process. You are shedding the skin. The version of you that presents itself now is new, and you are still figuring out exactly what that means for you. It's like suddenly you look in the mirror and you say, wow, look at me. I'm different. I'm grown up. I'm an adult. My clothes are bigger. My body is different. What I want is different. The things I think about have changed. The things that are important to me are different now. And what you have crossed is what happens when you reach that late adolescence, early teenage, young adult year, is that you begin to see that the old authority figures, the parents, the teachers, even your co-students, the things that you used to be governed by, the people and the systems that used to be your authority are no longer necessarily your authority. And so you're beginning to question, why do I still show up in service of that old relationship? Why do I still show up in service of that old dynamic and that old construct and that old power structure? The teacher that you had is no longer in charge of you. They are no longer your teacher. You are moving on. And some of you are beginning to realize, like, oh, it's just a matter of beginning to question that. It's just a matter of saying, oh, well, why do I still think that this person is in charge of me? And why do I still think that this person is an authority in my life? And some of you will continue to defer to those old relationships, will continue to defer to that old, teacher-student dynamic, if you will, but that's not necessarily what you need to continue to invest yourself in. This is the month that you begin to ask the questions, okay, what's next for me? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be? What's important to me? Some of you may have been raised in a very specific family structure. Maybe you were very religious, or maybe school and studies were really important. Maybe athletics were really important. Maybe arts and, creative pursuits were really important. And they may still be, but they may not be at all important to you anymore. And that's okay. Allow yourself to break free from the carapace, from the shell, from the old cocoon. Allow yourself to step out fully and know that in part, what September offers you is a moment of pause. It is a moment of inhale and exhale where you can begin to find your center again and really ground into the new understanding while the new skin matures and develops and is ready to carry you through the next phase of your journey. Suffice it to say, whether you are hanging back and continuing to observe or whether you are hitting the ground running and ready for action, this is the month where the most important thing you can ask yourself is, what is important to me now? Who do I want to be now? How do I want to present myself now? What is the lens that I view myself and my world through? What is possible for me? What am I curious about? What am I interested in? It's no longer about seeking. It is now about exploring, and the difference is important. Seeking implies that you don't have it. I'm looking for my keys. I'm looking for the answer. I'm looking for my wallet. I'm looking for my phone. I don't know where it is. I lost it. I can't find it. It's gone. Exploring is something different. Exploring is saying, I know what I want is here. I'm curious about what else I can be interested in. I can't wait to develop new interests and new passions and find new things to focus on and invest myself in. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm exploring. It's like Goldilocks, too hot, too cold, just right. So allow yourself to move out of the shell. Allow yourself to shed the skin, and also know that just like puberty, the shedding of the skin is a biological process. It's an energetic and spiritual process. It's often emotional. It's often mental as well. And it happens. All you have to do is allow it. Don't fight it. Just like the butterfly is not going to try to hang on to the form of the caterpillar, or the snake as it sheds its skin is not going to try to hang on to the old skin. It trusts, it allows, it just lets the process go. It lets the process carry it forward because the process is intelligent in and of itself. It is nature. It is creation. It is spirit. It is creation in real time as it is moving through you, informing you now what it is time to do, informing you now of who you have become. And all you have to do is allow the process. All you have to do is continue to allow, be present with your question, and be curious about what you are interested in now. Be curious about what else you can be, who else you can become. Be curious about it. Stop the seeking. Stop the belief that you don't have it. If you woke up today and you're in a body that's functional and you can see and you can hear and you can breathe and you can move, you're doing fine. You're ready to go. You have everything you need in this moment to proceed to the next step and the next step and the next step. And when you are building a bridge, you focus on what is on the other side. You don't focus on the chasm beneath you. If you're crossing from one side of the canyon to the other, you don't pay attention to the pit below you. That's not where you're headed. Where you're headed is straight ahead, the clear path ahead. You focus on what you are building towards. I'm building the bridge to get to the other side. I'm moving forward so I can get to the other side. That is where I'm going, the clear path ahead. And I'm no longer paying attention to the pit below me, because I have everything I need now to build the bridge to the other side. And it is time. And that's what you are in process of. And that's what you are experiencing right now. So allow it. Allow yourself to be still and present and calm when you can, and allow yourself to be active and assertive and moving forward when it is required. This is a month where you may feel like you're a little bit in two worlds. I'm being and I'm sitting and I'm allowing, and then I'm acting and I'm doing and I'm engaging and I'm choosing. It is the feminine self that receives and the masculine self that asserts, and you are in the middle as the child, tending to both sides as they are required, knowing that all you ever have to do is come back to the center, and then whatever it is time for will become clear. Thank you, everybody, for spending time with me this month. I'll be back in a couple of weeks with an update. You can find me on my website, amar.energy. Instagram is Amar Energy. TikTok is amar.energy. I'm available for private sessions. Also, remember the event this month coming up, starting on the equinox, a 3-part series, Rewriting Your Soul Contract. September is a beautiful month to really set us up for the path ahead, because once October kicks in, man, it's going to be the end of the year like that. And then we're going to be in this new Pluto and Aquarius energy, and it's a whole new world. I love you. Have a great month. We'll chat soon. Mwah.